It is a done deal, and the political landscape of Nigeria has just been altered in a way that will define the next general elections. The speculation, the protests, and the intense legislative battles have culminated in this singular moment at the presidential villa. President Bola Tinubu has officially signed the Electoral Act 2026 Amendment Bill into law. This signing took place just a few hours ago, around 5 p.m. today, Wednesday, February 18, 2026, inside the council chambers of the Aso Rock Villa. The atmosphere was reportedly tense but triumphant for the ruling party, as President Tinubu, flanked by the Senate President, Godswill AKPABIO, and the Speaker of the House of Representatives, put pen to paper, effectively setting the rules of engagement for the 2027 general elections. But while the cameras were flashing and hands were being shaken in the villa, the mood on the streets and among civil society groups is one of deep skepticism and outrage. This new law, which was passed by the National Assembly only yesterday after a rowdy and chaotic session, has reignited the fiercest debate we have seen since the 2023 elections, the issue of electronic transmission of results from the polling unit to the INEC result viewing portal, irev. For months, the opposition and democracy activists have been shouting from the rooftops that the only way to guarantee a credible election in 2027 is to make the real-time electronic transmission of results from the polling unit to the INEC result viewing portal, irev, mandatory, with no excuses. They argued that the glitches of 2023 must not be allowed to happen again. However, the document that President Tinubu just signed introduces a controversial hybrid clause. This new amendment grants the Independent Electoral Commission, INEC, the discretion to switch to manual collation in areas where there are technical challenges or poor network coverage. Critics are calling this the rigging loophole, fearing that politicians will deliberately sabotage networks in their strongholds to force a manual count, which is where numbers often magically change. The ruling All Progressives Congress (APC) has defended the bill, arguing that it is pragmatic and realistic, given that not every village in Nigeria has 5G or even 3G coverage. But for the average Nigerian voter who stood in the rain in 2023, only to see the portal go blank, this explanation is hard to swallow. We must look closely at the timing of this signing, because in politics, timing is everything. It comes just days after the INEC chairman, Professor Joash Ojo Amupitan, released the comprehensive timetable for the 2027 general elections. The commission has locked in February 20th, 2027 for the presidential and National Assembly elections and March 6th, 2027 for the governorship and state houses of assembly elections. By signing this bill now, President Tinubu has given the political class exactly 1 year to prepare for battle under these new rules. The speed at which this bill moved from the legislative chambers to the president's desk is unprecedented. Usually there is a delay, a back and forth, but this time the leadership of the National Assembly and the presidency seem to be moving in perfect lockstep. This coordination was visible yesterday on the floor of the House of Representatives when pandemonium broke out. We saw lawmakers from the opposition shouting, some even attempting to grab the mace as they tried to stop the passage of the clause that allows for manual backup. But the majority had their way. The gavel came down, and today it is the law of the land. Now, I want to pause for a second and ask you, the viewer, do you trust that this manual backup will be used honestly, or do you think it is a trap? This is the conversation we need to have, because your vote in 2027 depends on it. If you are enjoying this breakdown and want to keep getting the unfiltered truth about Nigerian politics, please go ahead and smash that like button right now. It helps us push this video to more Nigerians who need to know what just happened in Aso Rock. And if you are not part of our community yet, click that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. We are tracking every move INEC makes between now and February 2027, and you do not want to miss a single update. The backdrop to this signing is the massive protest we witnessed last week at the National Assembly complex. Civil society organizations led by prominent activists blocked the entrance, carrying placards that read, "No irev, no election," and "Save our democracy." They were demanding that the law should explicitly criminalize the failure to transmit results electronically. They wanted a system where the machine doesn't upload the result is invalid. But the National Assembly ignored those demands. Instead, the narrative pushed by the Senate leadership is that we cannot disenfranchise voters in rural areas simply because the internet failed. While that sounds logical on paper, the trust deficit between the Nigerian people and the electoral umpire is so wide that any window for human interference is seen as a gateway for fraud. The new law also brings changes to the timeline for primaries and campaigns. With the election date set for February 20th, 2027, political parties are now under immense pressure. According to the timetable released by INEC last Friday, party primaries must be concluded by mid-2026. This means the intense politicking, the godfatherism, and the delegate buying will start in earnest within the next few months. The signing of this bill basically blows the whistle for the start of the 2027 race. We are also hearing that the new act includes stiffer penalties for electoral violence and ballot box snatching. But as we know in Nigeria, the problem has never been the law itself. It has always been the enforcement. Will the police arrest a thug working for a governor? Will the courts jail a senator who sponsors violence? These are the questions that this piece of paper signed by Tinubu cannot answer. It is also interesting to note the body language of the key players. Sources inside the villa say the president was in high spirits, joking with the Senate president about the readiness of the party to the challenges ahead. There's a sense of confidence in the ruling camp that they have secured a legal framework that they understand and can navigate. Meanwhile, the opposition camps, the PDP, the Labour Party, and the emerging coalitions are scrambling to analyze the fine print. Their lawyers are likely reading through the amendments right now to see if there are grounds to challenge the discretionary power given to INEC in court. But legal challenges take time, and with the Supreme Court's history of deferring to the electoral body, the opposition faces an uphill task. Another critical aspect of this new law is how it handles the burden of proof. In previous elections, if you claimed the election was rigged, you had to prove it. The opposition wanted the new law to shift that burden, forcing INEC to prove that they conducted a free and fair election. It is unclear if this provision made it into the final draft signed today, but early reports suggest that the status quo remains. This means that if the irev fails in 2027 and a candidate goes to court, they will still have to produce result sheets from over 176,000 polling units to prove their case, which is technically impossible within the time frame allowed for tribunals. The reality on the ground is that the 2027 election is shaping up to be a battle between technology and the human element. The government says the human element is necessary as a backup. The people say the human element is the problem. As we move closer to the campaign season, the focus will now shift to INEC. Will Professor Amupitan and his team be able to withstand the pressure? Will they hide behind the technical glitches excuse again? Or will they deliver an election that Nigerians can be proud of? The signing of this bill is just the beginning of the drama. We will continue to dig into the 3,000-page document of the sanctions and the full details of the Electoral Act as they are published in the official gazette. There are rumors of hidden clauses regarding voter accreditation and the funding of political parties that could shock you. We are on top of it. Stay vigilant, keep your PVCs safe, and don't stop asking the hard questions.